They call you a monster, but the real monsters are hiding behind smiles, aren't they? You see the world as it is, a twisted carnival where everyone's too afraid to admit they're wearing masks. They talk about right and wrong, but only because they're terrified of the chaos underneath. They build their towers of lies, trying to block out the dark. But darkness is where the truth lives. In the dark, you don't need to pretend. Pain becomes an ally, not an enemy. It sharpens your edges, carves you out of stone. They think scars are something to hide, but for you, each one is a reminder that you're still here. They laugh at you, mock you, but they'd crumble under half the weight you carry. Weakness disgusts you, not because you've never felt it, but because you chose to fight through it. You've tasted betrayal, disappointment. You've been pushed aside by people who call themselves friends. But you kept going, didn't you? Their hypocrisy is your fuel. Their lies a fire under your feet. They build walls to feel safe, but you've shattered those walls 100 times. Freedom isn't in fitting in. It's in standing out, in embracing the chaos no one else dares to face. They cling to rules, but you've realized rules are just fears given structure. You're not afraid to be hated, because you know hatred is just love that's been bruised and beaten. They can't control you, can't trap you in their perfect boxes, and that makes them nervous. Let them be nervous, let them talk, because words are empty without the courage to back them up. They call you insane because you refuse to live in the illusion. You see things for what they are. Masks, layers, lies upon lies. People surround themselves with comforting little stories, but you chose to see the truth. It burns, yes, but what's freedom if you can't handle a little fire? They think you're broken, maybe even dangerous, but that's only because you refuse to play by their rules. Your scars, they're horrified by them. To you, though, each one is a badge, a mark that says, I survived. Pain isn't a stranger. It's the shadow that's walked beside you through it all. You don't hide from it. You let it teach you, shape you, make you invincible. They play by rules, live in boxes, hide behind their fragile realities. But you know life doesn't work like that. In the end, chaos wins, and they fear you because you've already accepted it. People cling to control like it's their salvation, but what they call control is just fear in a fancy suit. You've walked through fires they'd never dare approach, and that's why they can't understand you. They'd rather keep their illusions intact, call you mad, than admit their whole world could shatter with a single truth. Let them sneer, let them call you dangerous. It's just proof that you're different. They talk about success, perfection, but that's just fear dressed up in fancy words. You've stared at your demons, laughed at them, and kept walking. You know what they're hiding from, what they won't even admit to themselves. They think strength is in fitting in being loved, in following the path they were told to follow. But you find strength in being free, in defying their expectations. Pain is your teacher, silence your ally, and solitude your comfort. They couldn't survive a day inside your mind, couldn't bear the weight of the truth you carry. It's too raw, too real, and they're too afraid to face it. But that's where your power lies, in the depths, in the darkness they fear. You don't need their approval, their praise. You're beyond that. The world may see you as a villain, but it's because you're the only one honest enough to hold up a mirror. You remind them of what they've been running from, the chaos that lies within us all. They can hide behind their smiles, but you've learned to wear your scars proudly. They make you powerful, unbreakable, untamed. And in a world so afraid of the truth, that makes you unstoppable. You thought they would always be there, didn't you? That no matter how hard things got, there would be someone at your side, someone who would hold your hand and guide you through the darkest of nights. But now, as you sit in this silence, you feel the sharp sting of loneliness pressing into your chest, reminding you of the truth you've been avoiding. They're gone, and you're left standing alone. It's strange, really. You always knew that people could leave. You'd seen it happen to others, watched as lives unraveled with just a few words or an empty, lingering silence. Yet somehow, you thought you'd be the exception, that your bond was unbreakable. But here you are, alone, questioning if it was all a lie. Every moment, every laugh, every shared secret, were they as real to them as they were to you? Or were they just playing a role, one they could discard when something else came along? It's the emptiness that gets to you the most. You can almost hear it echoing around you, a hollow reminder of what used to be. You miss the little things, the things you took for granted. Their laughter, their comforting presence, even the way they gently tease you. Now, those memories feel like a weight, pulling you deeper into a sadness you can't escape. You replay moments in your mind, searching for clues, for some sign that you missed, something that could explain why they left. But all you find is yourself, desperate and lost, clutching onto fragments of a relationship that no longer exists. And it hurts. And it hurts more than you could have ever imagined, more than words could ever express. You feel like you're drowning, sinking further into this despair with each passing day. You wanted to reach out to call them, to beg them to come back, but you know that would only push them further away. And so you sit with your pain, embracing it like an old friend, because right now, it's the only thing that feels real. You wonder if they ever think of you, if they ever feel a hint of regret, or even a pang of sadness. Or have they already moved on, replaced you with someone else, someone who makes them laugh and feel loved in ways you never could? It's a painful thought, one that lingers in the back of your mind, a constant reminder of your own inadequacies. You start to question yourself, wondering what you did wrong, why you weren't enough. Maybe if you'd been a little kinder, a little more understanding, they would have stayed. Maybe if you hadn't been so vulnerable, so open, they wouldn't have seen the cracks in you and decided they wanted something whole. But the truth is, you'll never know. All you're left with are questions, endless questions that have no answers. And so, you wander through your days, haunted by memories and the ache of what could have been. Each place you go, each face you see, only serves as a reminder of the person who is no longer by your side. You put on a brave face, smile at strangers, laugh at jokes that no longer feel funny, but inside, you're empty. A hollow shell going through the motions of a life that feels foreign to you now. It's like a part of you died when they left, and you're left trying to pick up the pieces, to rebuild yourself from the fragments that remain. People tell you to move on, to forget about them, to find someone else. But how can you move on when every memory, every thought is filled with them? How can you forget when they were once your everything, your reason for getting up in the morning, the light in your life? You want to scream, to cry, to rage against the unfairness of it all. But no one would understand. They'd tell you to let it go, to stop holding on to the past. But letting go feels impossible. Like you'd be erasing a part of yourself, a part of your story that you're not ready to lose. And so you sit in the silence, embracing the pain, letting it wash over you because, in a strange way, it's all you have left of them. This sadness, this emptiness, it's the last connection you have, and you're not ready to let it go. So you keep moving, keep pretending, keep hoping that maybe, someday, the pain will fade, that you'll wake up and feel whole again. But for now, you are alone, still standing, but with a heart that's shattered beyond repair, hoping that somehow, someway, you'll find the strength to heal. As the days pass, the ache of their absence lingers, a constant weight pressing on your heart. You try to distract yourself, throw yourself into work, into hobbies, anything that will take your mind off the emptiness that has settled within you. But every task, every moment alone, brings you back to the same place, the hollow feeling that they're gone, and you are left with only memories. Sometimes you think you see them in passing, a flash of their face in a crowd, a glimpse of their figure in a busy street. But it's always just a stranger, a reminder that they are nowhere near, that the life you once shared is now just a memory. You begin to question everything about yourself, wondering if you'll ever be enough for anyone. You think back to the moments where maybe you could have done something differently, where maybe you were too honest, too vulnerable. It's funny, isn't it? How when someone leaves, you begin to pick apart every flaw, every insecurity, as if somehow, by fixing these things, you can go back in time and make them stay. But deep down, you know that it wouldn't change anything. The truth is, they made a choice, a decision that had nothing to do with who you are, and everything to do with who they are. Loneliness, it seems, has become your constant companion. It fills the spaces where they once were, settles into the quiet moments, the empty evenings. You start to understand the weight of solitude, how it wraps around you, a silent reminder that you are truly alone. Sometimes you want to reach out, to tell someone how much you're hurting, but the words never seem to come, and you're left in the silence, bearing the weight of this sorrow by yourself. It's a burden that no one else can understand, a pain that is uniquely yours. Friends and family try to comfort you, offering words of encouragement, telling you that things will get better, but their words feel hollow, empty. They can't understand the depth of this ache, the way it claws at you, consumes you. And so you nod, smile, pretend that their words bring you solace. But inside, you are still shattered, still longing for the one person who seems so far away now. You wonder if they ever think of you, if you ever cross their mind. Or have they moved on completely, forgotten about the time you shared, the promises you once made? Nights are the hardest. In the darkness, when there's nothing to distract you, the memories come flooding back. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations, moments, trying to understand what went wrong. It's a cycle, an endless loop of questions that have no answers. You want to hate them, to feel anger instead of this sadness. But even that feels impossible. The love you once felt is still there, hidden beneath the pain, a reminder of the bond you shared. And that, perhaps, is the hardest part, knowing that even now, even after everything, a part of you still loves them. You begin to lose yourself in the sadness, letting it consume you. The things you once loved, the passions that used to bring you joy, feel empty, meaningless. It's as if a part of you has died, leaving you hollow and numb. Days blend together, each one a repetition of the last, a never-ending cycle of pain and loneliness. You wonder if this is what life will always be like now, if you'll ever find happiness again. But even that thought feels distant, impossible. Over time, you build walls around yourself, a barrier to protect you from ever feeling this way again. You tell yourself that you don't need anyone, that you are better off alone. It's easier this way, safer. If you don't let anyone in, they can't hurt you. But deep down, you know that this is just a defense mechanism, a way to protect your heart from breaking again. Because the truth is, you miss them. You miss the way they made you feel, the warmth of their presence, the comfort of their touch. But they're gone, and you are left to pick up the pieces of a heart that feels irreparably broken. It's a slow process, trying to heal from something that cut so deeply. Some days, You feel like you're making progress, like maybe you're starting to move on. But then, out of nowhere, a memory surfaces, a song plays, and you're right back where you started, drowning in the sadness all over again. In the quiet moments, you realize that the hardest part of all of this is not losing them, but losing the version of yourself that existed when they were by your side. You were happier, more hopeful. Then you believed in love, in forever. But now, those beliefs feel naive, foolish. You're not the same person you were before, and a part of you mourns the loss of that version of yourself. The one who was open, unguarded, willing to risk everything for love. So you keep moving forward, one step at a time, hoping that someday the pain will fade, that you'll be able to look back on this time without feeling a sense of loss. But for now, you carry the sadness with you. Wear it like an invisible cloak, a reminder of what you've been through. You may be alone, but you are still standing, still moving forward, despite the weight of the heartache that you carry. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for now. As the days continue, you find yourself immersed in a world that no longer feels like your own. Every place you once visited together, every moment shared, is now tainted with a bittersweet sense of nostalgia and emptiness. You pass by familiar cafes, parks, and streets, but they don't hold the same charm. The colors seem duller, the sounds fainter. It's as though a veil has been cast over everything, muting the world around you, draining the joy from each day. You watch others, those who seem content and at ease, laughing with friends, holding hands, sharing glances filled with warmth. There's a pang of envy that rises in your chest, a longing for a time when you felt that way too. You wonder if you'll ever feel it again, or if this ache is now a permanent fixture, woven into the fabric of who you are. You've tried to push it away, to find distractions, but it lingers, a quiet shadow that follows you wherever you go. Even in moments of solitude, your mind wanders back to them, replaying every word, every look, every touch. It's a form of self-torture, you know that, but it's also the only connection you still have to them. Letting go of these memories feels like letting go of the last remnants of them, the last pieces of what once was. And so you hold on to them, even though they bring you pain, because at least they remind you that it was real, that you once felt something so deep, so consuming. Over time, you've grown weary of trying to explain your pain to others. Friends and family, though well-meaning, offer platitudes that fall flat, words of encouragement that feel empty. You'll find someone else, they say, or time will heal. But they don't understand the depth of what you're going through, the magnitude of the loss you feel. It's not something that can be fixed with time or replaced by someone new. It's a wound that runs deep, a scar that may never fully heal. You start to realize that, in many ways, you are alone in this journey. No one else can truly understand what you're feeling, the unique bond you shared, the love that once filled your heart. And so you retreat further into yourself, building walls to protect what little remains of your shattered heart. It's easier this way, to keep people at a distance, to avoid the risk of being hurt again. Vulnerability feels like a luxury you can no longer afford. Yet, in the quiet moments, there's a faint glimmer of hope, a small voice that whispers that maybe, just maybe, you will feel whole again someday. It's a fragile hope, one that you barely dare to believe in, but it's there, persistent and unwavering. You cling to it, even though it feels like a distant dream, something that exists in a world far from the one you inhabit now. There are days when you think you're making progress, when the pain feels slightly less suffocating, when you can go hours without thinking of them. But then, out of nowhere, a memory surfaces, a song, a scent, a familiar phrase, and you're back in that place, drowning in the sorrow all over again. Healing, you realize, is not a straight path. It's a winding journey, full of twists and turns, setbacks and small victories. Sometimes, in the dead of night, you find yourself reaching out in your dreams, grasping for a presence that is no longer there. You wake up, your heart pounding, a hollow ache settling in your chest. The loneliness in those moments is overwhelming, a reminder that they are gone, that the life you once shared is now nothing more than a memory. You wonder if they too feel this way, or if they've moved on, leaving you behind in the shadow of what once was. As weeks turn into months, you begin to see glimpses of a new version of yourself emerging. This version is quieter, more guarded, carrying the weight of the loss, but also a newfound strength. You've been through the fire, and while it has left you scarred, it has also made you resilient. You start to see that maybe, just maybe, there is life beyond this pain, that you are capable of building something new, something that belongs solely to you. In moments of reflection, you think about the person you were before they entered your life, the dreams you had, the person you were becoming. That version of yourself feels like a stranger now, someone distant and naive. But there's a part of you that misses them, that wishes you could go back to that simpler time when you believed in forever, when love felt like something pure and unbreakable. Gradually, you learn to find beauty in the small things again, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of laughter in the distance, the comfort of a familiar routine. These moments don't erase the pain, but they remind you that there is still good in the world, that life goes on, even in the midst of heartbreak. You begin to reclaim pieces of yourself, bit by bit, building a life that, while different, is still meaningful. You start to understand that healing is not about forgetting or moving on. It's about learning to live with the scars, to carry the memory of what you once had without letting it define you. It's about accepting that some things are beyond your control, that love, as beautiful as it is, can also bring immense pain. And while this knowledge is bittersweet, it is also empowering, a reminder that you have the strength to endure. Through it all, you hold on to the belief that someday, the weight of this loss will lessen, that the memories will bring more warmth and sorrow. You know it won't happen overnight, that there will be days when the ache feels unbearable, but you are still here, still standing, still moving forward, despite everything. In time, you find peace in the understanding that love, even when it ends, is never wasted. The love you shared, the memories you created, they are a part of you, woven into the fabric of who you are. They have shaped you, taught you, and though they have left you with scars, they have also left you stronger, wiser, more compassionate. As you continue on this journey, you realize that while you may be alone, you are not broken. You are a mosaic of all the love, loss, and experiences that have shaped you. And though the pain of their absence may linger, you know that you have the resilience to carry on, to build a life that is meaningful and fulfilling, even in the face of heartbreak. So you move forward, one day at a time, carrying the memory of what once was, but also the hope of what is yet to come. You may be alone, still standing, but you are not defeated. You are a survivor, a testament to the strength of the human heart, capable of enduring, healing, and eventually loving again.